Okay, let's see here. Okay, I think everything looks good. Everything's stable and healthy. All right. Okay. If you're here, I want to thank you for being here because I've asked you to devote your time in helping me. And the question that I'm asking you is, how is my stream? I have spent the last 3 days trying to tweak and optimize my stream, and I haven't slept. I have been sick to my stomach. It's been like a punch to the gut. I just wanted to break down and cry because it just wasn't working. And your opinion matters to me, and I want to provide the best viewing experience possible. And I want my stream to be crisp and clear and smooth and not choppy and not lose frame rates and not be blurry. And those were all the things that I was experiencing earlier. I just recently went through an upgrade. I caught a unicorn. I purchased a 6800 XT. I had to sacrifice a kidney for it, but I was so excited. One that, oh my gosh, a video card exists and it's available. I just had to drive 8 hours to go get it. And I did, and I was so excited, and I got back home and put the video card in, or my brother put the video card in, and shout out to my brother who helped me tweak and optimize my settings. So put the video card in, and it wasn't working. And I couldn't figure out why, and I was losing sleep. I just wanted to cry. I'm like, I spent all this money, and it's made it worse. I originally had a 1070 in my system, and it did the job, but there was room for improvement. So anyway, I stream in 4K, or sorry, I play in 4K and I stream in 2K. And my monitor has a 60 hertz refresh rate, so I keep VSync on because I think that just makes sense, because why have 100 FPS if your monitor can't handle it? And so I keep VSync on just to make sure that everything runs smooth, and so my screen isn't artifacting or breaking and things like that. So again, playing in 4K and streaming in 2K. I must have VSync off right now. So without VSync, I'm getting 100 frames, which I think is great, but since I'm being held back by my monitor, there's no reason for me to have vertical sync disabled. So I've enabled it. And what else here? I also was playing around with the ray tracing. And with ray tracing on, yikes, by the way, with ray tracing on, yeah, it takes a hit, and it's a big performance hit. I guess that's not too bad, but it's 79 FPS. Okay, now let me see here. If I go stare at this wall, it's probably going to be higher. 81. Okay, and if I move out here, it's going to be lower. 66. Yeah. And in my efforts and trying to diagnose what my issue was with my stream, I must have watched 50 videos and, did hours and hours of research trying to figure it out. And I've decided that ray tracing just isn't worth it. It is not worth the performance hit for the trade-off. And, yes, it's beautiful. Let's see here. Let me go over. Let me go over to this flame here. Now you might not be able to see it because, again, I'm streaming in 2K, but in my 4K monitor, like, oh my gosh, it's just beautiful. You see all the different, you see the different shades and the shading and how the light is refracting. And oh, it's awesome. But it's not worth half your frame rates. And I don't think it's optimized very well for WoW anyway. So I've decided to turn that off. So disabled. And let's enable VSync. So anyway, so that's that. I also use OBS as my my streaming hub, if you will. And when I put the new card in, I thought, well, why should my settings change in OBS? They should be the same, but no, you have to tweak your settings, which is so frustrating because, you know, you've got to look at your video bit rate, you got to look at your audio bit rate, you have to consider your upload speed, you got to consider, you know, what your hardware is capable of. It's a nightmare. It's so much work. So anyway, I think I finally tweaked those settings, and I found, let's see here, let me just take a look here. So for those of you who are interested, so my encoder, I'm using the CPU, which I understand is more optimal and better to use than the NVIDIA or the AMD encoder. I heard some pretty horrible things about the AMD encoder, and, you know, for the record, that's unfair. Like there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are saying, oh, it's absolutely garbage, don't use the AMD encoder. It's not that bad. I used both the AMD and the CPU to stream, and yes, the CPU is slightly better. The image is crisper. You take a huge hit on your CPU for sure, but with the AMD, it's just as good, but it's not as good, but it certainly isn't garbage like, you know, what you're hearing. And the other positive thing with AMD is it doesn't take so much of a hit on your CPU. And so, you know, that might be something you have to factor in. If you don't have a strong enough CPU, then use your video card as your encoder. And, you know, I will acknowledge that NVIDIA does have a better encoder than AMD, but, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, with this trend that we're seeing with ATI and AMD, and they're just, you know, blowing NVIDIA out of the water with their cards, I'm hoping that their software will also improve. So anyway, so the magic number, the magic settings for me, so yes, I'm using my CPU, my times 264 encoder, and my bit rate is 8,000, which again, there was a lot of tweaking there to try to find the sweet spot. My keyframe intervals are 2, and my CPU usage is very fast. My audio, my sample rate is at 48 Hertz. And like I said, I stream in 2K, but my base canvas resolution is in 4K. So those are those settings. So I'm hoping that what you're seeing is good, is smooth. I'm hoping that it's better than what I was producing earlier with my 1070. Gosh, I hope it is. Otherwise, what did I spend all this money for? So please let me know what you think. Like I said, your opinion matters to me. And yeah, leave comments below if you have any questions. Gosh, if anyone can learn from my struggles and my frustrations over the last 3 days trying to optimize their stream, maybe I can help, because it is no fun, you know, going through this. Like, your heart just sinks when things don't work properly. And so if I can save anyone from that grief, I would be happy to do that. So anywho, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget, tomorrow is Alt Raid, so I hope to see you guys for Alt Raid. It's a continuation. We're on Painsmith, and then Saturday is a fresh run. That's our heroic progression. So I hope to see you Saturday too. Anyway, Take care. Thank you so much.